Welcome to the Ecosailor. So we have with us Captain Gajanan today, and Captain Gajanan is a seasoned expert in the maritime industry. He's been with the industry for over 35 years, and he has been vocal about the blue economy. Captain Gajanan has worked tirelessly for the safety and rights of seafarers. And apart from being a certified marine surveyor and flag inspector, he's also a social activist and a global ambassador for sustainability. We have, with great pleasure, Captain Gajanan with us today. Currently, he is based out of Dubai, and he is our first sailor of the month in our official magazine, the Eco Sailor. So, firstly, my first question to you, Captain Gajanan, is how did you find yourselves in this industry? How did you first come across the maritime industry?
Thank you very much, Ecosailor, and it's really great pleasure for me to be here at this point and expressing myself to your audience. And the name itself of your magazine, Ecosail, suggests of working towards the entire ecosystem. And I congratulate you for this initiative, and may this initiative of yours go for a long way in creating a sustainability in shipping. See, I am from the area which is pretty landlocked. So I didn't have an access to a knowledge about shipping when I was thinking of joining. So as it happened, as it happens to every youth and that age of yours, being from RSS background, I was so of a nationalist feeling that I was ready to join Army, Navy, Air Force. You give it anything, So I was trying for that, and when this opportunity came to join Merchant Navy, the word Navy attracted me more than a merchant because the meaning of merchant I didn't know. So I did off for it. I went to Bombay. I gave my exams, and I somehow, with the God's grace, I passed the exams. I was selected. And those days, I was to have it. Rajendra was there, of course, but I got into the direct grade. So I went and joined Chagule Steamships. So when I went on board, I found out that this is a merchant navy, and the meaning of the name merchant or commercial, I could grasp it on board. But never mind, since it was exciting, adventurous life, it demanded something out of box from my routine life. Being a vivid sportsman, I was a kabaddi and wrestling player in my college days. So had that zeal to work towards odds. So I did succeed. I don't say I succeeded in the entire career, but of course, in entry point was very good with few helps here and there, and then I really enjoyed the career thereafter because it gave me a different perspective altogether.
That's great, Captain Gajanan. Okay, formally, I also welcome you to the this series. Thanks for joining, Captain Gajanan. And I would like to ask, since you had a quite long sailing career now, from cadetship to captain, being a captain, you must have seen all kinds of seas, weathers, and whatnot. You must be full of stories. So we would like to know a few, like good hot stories, from your side. So your memorable experience, or which you cannot forget during the sea time.
No, absolutely. The sailings are full of stories. And one of the best part of this career is that you change your location every day. So every day is a new day for you. I have not missed my coffee. After I became master, of course, and during chief officer's days also. So almost good 9-10 years, I have never missed a sunrise and a coffee. So that kind of a thing you have, so blues and greens and sunrises, sunsets don't amaze me anymore. But having said that, the career had to offer a lot of adventurous circumstances also. I wouldn't mind telling you a lot of stories about it, but I'm writing a book on it. And see, what happens is when you go through these circumstances and incidences at sea, I have particularly found that it ingrains your character, and it shapes your very early days of when I was 18 and a half when I joined shipping, and thereafter I really learned things very practical way. I was a very practical man, Of course, God fearingness is always there, and reliance on God and supernatural power is always there. But then, I felt something which happened to me for the first time. Like I told you, I was a wrestling and kabaddi player. In kabaddi and wrestling is a individual game. Kabaddi is a game of a small team. You are so significant in the game. Like when I used to get out in kabaddi team, I used to think my team will lose. You know, so kabaddi has given me a significance. I am very important. Wrestling, of course, is an individual game. So when my power is to be falling short of other player in my college days, I used to really feel that I am so significant. I did not do exercise for 2 days. I think that must have not given me this extra 2 pounds I wanted, on the power. But one thing that happened to me on ship that as soon as I went on ship, I felt the feeling of insignificancy in front of such a vast ocean, huge sky. Your ship itself is so small, and you are just a tiny spot in the entire game, which you have nothing under your control. One of the first storms which I remember I saw was so, khatarnak though is not the word to describe also, because it was once in a decade storm. As per the JMA's weather analysis, and it was really tufan, and that changed me entirely. But that changing happens without you sitting down on the chair and classroom and trying to absorb things. It just happens as a learning. That's why I use the term of ingraining a character. So I'm writing a book on this. I have jotted down some 6 voyages in my entire journey, where all those voyages have taught me such a beautiful thing and such a qualities in my life. Those qualities became my character. Today, if you see me behaving in a particular way, it happened because of those incidences. Like I was very, I'm of course dealing in vernacular medium. I was very shy. I was speaking, of course, English though was not a first language anyway. So English though, you Marathi person starts thinking in
Marathi and then spoken English. That's what happens to us. Who are learning vernacular media. But then that one thing I had to deliberately learn. And I had to pick up this prize from my various captains and officers who used to interact. There was a norm those days. When the ship was I used to stand outside captain's cabin, do some xeroxing work and all that. One fine day, one of my colleagues, why are you standing here? I told him I am just helping captain with some port work. He said, but meantime you standing, why don't you observe it? I said, what is it to observe him? He said, no, observe him, how he speaks, how he talks, how he greets people, how he receives various people, how he is answering questions which are asked by PSC, by the student. And I tell you, that observation became an enormous learning for me. When I would come back to my cabin or room and, replicate it. That was my kind of exercise there, So then observation became my second nature. So I'm really observant of things. Even this, you mentioned about free economy. I really observed that this is just a huge, vast field. Definitely nobody is working on it. And definitely no mariner is working on it. What is the point me spending 80 years of my life at sea, on the ocean, forget my earnings and forget my comfortability of, my family and things like that. But,
having just being there, what is the use if I don't contribute to that very ocean? In one of the incidences I tell you, of course, every kid, which has been born and brought up in pampered way. My parents were teachers, so of course they gave me the best education, best teachings. But I was always very fussy about the food. I would not eat rice when I was before going on ship. One fine time on ship, we had 7 days of no food on board. Our fridge rooms collapsed, and we had to throw all the food out. And by the time we reached Las Palmas, we had absolutely no food for last one day. It has gained my character so much that I insist on everybody who till date has a breakfast, lunch, dinner with me to finish their plate. If they don't finish, I finish it. Why I'm telling you? Because I've seen that 1.5 day at the age of 19, 20, when you have a heavy hunger in your stomach and there is no food to eat. You're just looking at it, you drink 2-3 glasses of water and say कि यार मैंने खाना खा लिया है, you know. So all is well concept तो बाद में आया है. तो ये जो हार्ट को kind of समझाने की जो चीज़ है, I mean that happens through the incidences in life. I also have seen a very great storm when I was captain on board once, and it was a terrible thing. It was a thing which I also presented a paper in Mumbai when I came back, because it was something tropical revolving storm of Japan, and it was huge. It was something that nobody had imagined. The pressure had dropped to 960. If you would know what 960 means in terms of wave heights, that's 20-meter wave. I was carrying a cargo from Port Kalama to Taiwan, and cargo of soybean, where I was, the number one hold got completely flooded, absolutely. And so much of water we took in, and the vessel got such a heavy bashing. And I had passed through the entire 2 eye walls. That means I had passed through the center of a storm and somehow survived. So that was one incident which taught me a lot of patience in life. I used to count waves, because every 6th wave is a big wave at sea, in the ocean. So I mean, it was something which I learned on the ground, like something to be patient about. But till now I practice that ki अरे आज नहीं कल हो जाएगा, never mind. I mean that patience is very important. Entire life is a game of patience.
Hearing these many youngsters who are precious, like want to join the sea career, they will have a really either a good insight. I hope they don't fear. But yeah, that is what seafarers are. They sustain. They emerge out of all those dangers, and they learn to emerge, I would say. Yeah, that's great. Well, you have another side also. What I see from this thing, you are a global ambassador of sustainability. So we would like to firstly, what is this global ambassador of the sustainability all about, and how you cater to the world, to achieve these goals of sustainability?
The whole concept came to me in 2015 somewhere about blue economy, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke in one of the session summit about the blue economy. So then I decided to literally spend some time and understand as to what is this all about.
What can we do about the blue economy? So क्या है क्या चीज़ है? So I started studying. I spent about 2 years. I was in Singapore those days. I studied about 2 years studying about blue economy. Whenever I used to get time, I used to talk to people about it. There's some people who knew about it. So that when I first spoke in World Economic Forum, I was given 5 minutes to speak. I spoke about one world, one ocean concept. This is in 2018, I remember. And I said we only have, when there was discussion going on the oceans and all that, I said we have only one ocean in the world. You may have different names to the ocean, but we practically have one ocean, and the health of the ocean is something our responsibility. It's our collective responsibility. And that gave me another subject to discuss and think and talk about is ocean health. When I started talking about ocean health, I realized that almost 97% of ocean pollution is come from the land-based resources. Only 3 to 4% is from shipping. Where being in shipping, I see shipping as a very big contributor, because pollution is there, air pollution is there, water pollution is there. So you always think that I am the biggest contributor. But when I went and spoke to a lot of pollution control board officers and things like that, I realized that the land-based resources, soil erosions, pesticides, industrial effluents, getting into the nalas and rivers, the pollution is huge. So when I was talking about aquaculture and mariculture to some of the professionals, I realized that we have no potential of this, because our, the waters where the rivers meet ocean are so contaminated that the no fish eggs, I mean, not in the ecosystem, but outside ecosystem, the fish eggs can survive. I mean, that was a huge blow onto my thinking. And I started thinking those the ways to control this. See, regulation is one way. I mean, shipping is very reactive industry, as we all know.
Like in 2000, we had a Millennium Development Goals, set out under the, Earth Summit. Just taking the entire Earth Summit Agenda 21 forward of UNFCCC. And that's time where in 2015 they came out with the, Sustainable Development Goals. And then the word sustainability came into existence with a lot of definitions across the world. But one of the very prominent was that as to your actions of today should not take away the opportunity of a next generation, next generations. And the plural was put there. So there was a long-term view into the actions. And this is how, I got hugely attracted towards it, because it was something which was telling you to do action point. There are 17 targets in SDG, and there are 17 goals and 159 targets. And India has completed something like 66%. We are lagging behind a bit, but India has done fairly well with a status of developing country, 35-40% population under poverty. So we are doing fairly well than those developed nations. But again, it is not enough. So, so when the opportunity came of being ambassador of it, because I used to write a lot of LinkedIn posts and a lot of articles on this, I also presented a paper. So the opportunity came to me from one of the European societies as to we want to appoint you as a sustainability ambassador. I said, absolutely fine, but what do I have to do? And the best part was the next answer of this as you please, you decide what you want to do. And that's what, opened my eyes as to, yes, why should I ask somebody, why should I ask somebody an action plan? I can do action plan myself. And that's what, triggered my journey into it. I completed my, of course, there was some formal education required before I obtained the ambassadorship. So, formal education was, I did my BRSR, which is a business responsibility, social responsibility reporting as per the SEBI rules. I did my ESG auditors course, verifiers course. So I did a sustainability business management course from Cambridge, and that was an unstoppable thing for me. So then I was open in market to advise someone, consult someone commercially. But then more than the commercial venturing out into the market, I found that I now are empowered with knowledge. I should do some social kind of initiatives which are not unthinkable by others. Others may not have time to do that. But since I have a time and I have energy to do that now, I should do it. I launched a program called Green Genius. And about 2 months back, we had a meeting of all ambassadors in the world. 134 people were there in the meeting, and they were all asked this question: what is your agenda for next, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? So luckily, I had that presentation of Green Genius ready. So Green Genius is a program which I am launching internationally. Nationally, it is launched in few schools, but I am launching internationally because I went to that summit other day where I presented about 5 minutes of these slides, and they all liked it. There's a huge Dubai oasis, so a silicon oasis, sustainable city here in Dubai, and that CEO was there and he liked it very much. He said, Captain, we should do this in the Dubai schools, and that program is about identifying green genius in each school and implementing the practices which will go for a long term and which will also change character of the students towards sustainability. So unless you change that, as I give an example of, like I should have an ingrained character of not pulling the tissue paper out of the tissue box and think about a tree. And that should not happen only once. Every time I do that, every time I use a disposable thing, whether it's a spoon, it's a glass, it's a plate, I may have a very good disposal next to me, recycling next to me, but using that itself should make me think of impact of it on the nature. Another concept which I came up with was paying back nature. See, we don't pay back nature ever. And humans have to now, if you want to get away from tipping point of 1.5 degrees centigrade, we have to think of each and every action of ours as to what is the impact of this. I'm telling you, I travel in India whenever I come. I've got about maybe 10,000 seed balls at home made and packed and ready. I'm a vivid trekker. So whenever I used to come from ship, I used to go for trekking, and then we used to throw the seeds everywhere. I found out a very unique way. If I take these seeds of plants like of pipal, banyan tree, all those plants which are huge trees, Okay, so I made those balls with the seeds inside, and in one last two, I think so 3 years back, I made those about 10,000 balls, and I said whenever I go for a trip, each kilometer I travel, I will throw those many balls. So when I come to Nasik, to Bombay, 130 kilometers I travel, I throw 130 balls in Kasaraghat. That's the measure. I earlier did some calculations.
This idea I am going to remember, Captain Gajanan. I am going to do. So
I think that Ecosailor will love. I will let the entire team know. We all should follow this. I really am impressed with.
No, we should run this program. We should see what we'll do is I will make it for you, a framework of this program. I did a calculation of a petrol car driving 1 kilometer, diesel car driving 1 kilometer. How many people inside live it? So let's not go per capita per passenger, but the car driving. And what is the carbon emission? Who will absorb that carbon? And what do we need for that? See, the trees won't absorb carbon unless they have grown to the full size. So you give a 5 years time, So I said, then I came with a formula, instead of doing that calculation and, throwing a tree carbon absorption, just do per 1 kilometer, throwing of a ball into the, you have to just open the window and throw the ball outside. There's no rocket science in that. If you do it in the month of May, June, that is the best time, because July, August, September, those balls definitely germinate because the water falls on it. So I also added some kind of a natural fertilizer to this to boost that germination period, faster into the balls, not only soil. So these bags are ready, and every time anybody goes from my house, takes the car out for a long journey. I went to Indore all the way. I was carrying 5 bags with me, and the driver was telling me, "Sir, ये क्या है?" तो मैं बोला, "अरे boss, ये आप वहाँ से फेंकना, मैं यहाँ से फेंकेगा." So we were throwing that into the valleys and into the Ghat areas, and in Dhule, Jalgaon, all that region I went through, Shirpur. I'm telling you, it just started making my journey, satisfying. So this is very important part of sustainability, that the measures you take, if they are satisfying to yourself, you will definitely continue them for lifetime and take them to somebody else also. Ki yare ye karo. So this is like paying back nature.
Right. I think, all this stems from a sense of responsibility. So if you have that sense of responsibility, like this is what I'm emitting, and I have to make up for it somehow. And then, when we have that sense instilled, then we know exactly that, we owe a debt to the earth, because we are polluting and we should take something, sometimes we cannot curb the pollution, or due to situations we may not be able to, but we can do something in return so that, we can bring back the balance. I think that's a very interesting take, and I think a lot of people should adopt this. So thank you for sharing.
This I captured under paying back the nature. We go to shopping mall, we buy a bottle of water, we pay for it. We pay 20 rupees, 2 dirham, whatever it is, as per your country or preference, you pay the money. You never pay when you come out in the balcony in the morning. You never pay for that fresh air. It's a free of charge to you. So how do you pay back to the nature? And with sustainability, one of the very biggest, the issue is that it is not a business as normal. So business has to change, or business as usual they call it in a Western world. कि जैसे कल था आज same है. No, something has to change every day, and that will only happen through mindset. So my Green Genius program, which I am running into the school, which I am taking to the international, I met somebody in the sustainability conference who runs a program called Plastic Pledge, and he does it for 170 international schools all over the world. So I took some cues from him, and I took him on board the Green Genius program. I told him, if you help me with this, your contacts, I will take this program. It's a very simple thing. And then, as we do, suppose when I reach 100 schools in India, Then I would start, through the government network or presenting it to the government as well. We start sustainability ratings to the school. Okay, this school is, because idea is to make that entire school campus by 2050, 2040 as per school commitment absolutely net zero. And as every idea has a resistance. When I went to first few schools, they all told us, Captain, we do this, we know this, and we know this, and we do all these things, and then I told them, okay, let's measure the impact of what you do and what you don't do. So don't do had a lot of impact, but then still they were not ready to buy it because they thought it might cost them money. It might cost an intrusion of some third party person into the school running the program. Management might ask them, why don't you think about it? Why do you require some third party person, Captain Gajanan, to come and do it for yourself? But again, third school, fourth school, fifth school, I had to show them a video of tipping point. When I asked them a question, two questions I asked them. What do you think the percentage of carbon in the air? How much it is? And it all teachers. I mean, so nobody could answer that question. And second question I asked them, why 1.5% degree centigrade of 1980 levels? Why not 2.5? Why not 1.2? Why not 1.45? Why not 1 degree? What is it that is making the world think of 1.5? Do you know about it? They did not know the answer. So I showed them a video of tipping point. And that's the time that fifth school, they said, sir, yes, we will accept it. Whatever is there, you can tell us your charges, we'll do it. I said, there are no charges involved. I'm absolutely doing this as social work because I am learning myself with very hard way. I do not know whether my generations next, will be able to sustain or not, because our efforts are not cumulative from all over the world. And the next generation whether they would be poised to save their next generation. So it requires a character change, and we have to change the character in schools. And that's where we started. That entire school changed over from glass bottles to plastic to the steel glasses everywhere. As used to happen in earlier days. Nobody brings a plastic bottle, nobody is chewing gum. Then I said the first measure should be that no garbage truck should come to your campus. Please tell him, don't come. You manage your own waste. They started making compost out of the waste, they started recycling the entire waste, the recycling categories they made. And then I gave them on the very first month the ratings. We made one cadet captain. Since I'm from Navy, I'm fond of captains. So I made one cadet captain and committee, which is the green committee, gave them batches. So it was like a huge thing. See, the boys used to feel motivated. And you won't know, I'm working on some other program with the company of Master Mariners on Nautical Cadets Roundtable, where I'm taking to them to answer the questions in their mind. See, what happens is most of the time, today we are dealing with millennials and Gen Z generations. They have the questions in their mind. They need to find all the time a right person to ask, and which they just don't find. Because the leadership quality also in the society has dropped drastically. The definition of leadership, the character of leadership, the entire genesis of leadership has dropped drastically in political, social, economical, all status of life. So they don't have anybody to look forward to because everybody has got a grey side. So today's youth is really, really directionless. So when I started this program with the Tolani and HIMT and AMET and with a few other nautical colleges in India, the cadets liked it so much, and I said, nobody goes from this hall without his question being answered. So we used to have a panel of experts, and we are discussing mental health and well-being of cadets, how things are shaping up, because we are dealing with different generation altogether. So that program also took very high ran into high accolades because people liked it, industry liked it, and company of Master Mariners supported it. So idea is to take this generation. My idea was to academia can give you education, industry can give you experience, but then organization, which has to also be a part of your life to make you grow professionally. You grow not only networking and resource collection, but it also make me grow professionally. And one thing I found in Merchant Navy, that there is a huge scarcity of idols and a central leadership, which is there in profession of doctors and engineers. You do hear of great engineers. Their autobiography is there for students to learn. Doctors, we know some great doctors in India who have done. There are hundreds of at least. in Merchant Navy, I really don't find anybody is put an effort. So that is my next program, which should come out. Now I'm going to start now that, I'm going to autobiograph this, minimum 50 personalities in shipping and make a small book out of it, which will be distributed free of charge. People will read through their journey as to, there are many captains who have done wonders in their life. They have walked the road less traveled and they have done great things.
I want to ask you a question. So, in your life, have there come people whom you have been inspired by? So, people whom you really look up to, maybe in the marine sector, or since you first started sailing, I want to know your first experience and how it has evolved so far.
Yeah, it was very funny actually. When I went at sea, all different kind of people altogether. Though I was a kabaddi player, I was a wrestling captain of my school, and I was an NCC under officer, and I've done gone to RD parades. So that all things, leadership, what you learn on the grassroots, managing your peers and the juniors in school and colleges, it all falls apart when you see when you launch yourself on international level. Then you have people from different states, people from different countries. When I started observing this, I found it's a very funny thing. There's so much to learn from these, other people, which we don't learn. We have a co-traveler in our bus. We hardly look at him as an earning object. So if you look at, driver driving the bus, if you look at him, there's so much to learn from him. Our mindset, has to be changed to learn something all the time, to find something good in something. So when I started, we have a very interesting question. So when I started looking at it, suddenly my first chief officer, Mr. Capt, who teaches in English Academy, he became my first guru. He also was called guru of those days. His handwriting was very good. His explanation was very good. He had a good heart of, teaching me at that point in time. Which kept on telling me, boss, you must do the same thing. This is not free. So this is what I'm doing now. He attends my program. The first Nautical Institute, Nautical Cadets conferences, I had called him and to speak, and then he spoke very mouthful about me, saying that Gajanan was my first cadet and things like that. But this is what I started learning from people. I've had a lot of mentors. And a lot of mentors in industry where I've learned from them. Captain Barbe is one of them. Captain Halbe is one of them. Where these guys have really, without having their selfishness at their heart, they have given me. When I was given, I remember I cleared my masters in 2001. And I told the company before that I am going for my masters now, and you please watch me for whatever time you want to watch me, because when I come back with my masters, I want to be promoted on board. Anyway, the leadership quality of taking control, command is always there from childhood. So, being from RSS background, so you always have that extraordinary thing in you. So company told me, yes, sir, we already planned and you please come. So when I finished my masters, I came. The company offered me that you will be the master. We want to promote you as the master, please prepare. You are going in 1 month's time. So I told them, give me 2 days time to think. So they said, what happened? So confidence nahi hai kya? What happened? No jokes, I went back home. My diary still has that page, which I show it to my children almost every year in some occasion or the other. I wrote the names of my last 10 chief officers I have sailed with, and total I have sailed with 21 masters. So 21 masters names I wrote. I knew all the names, I still know them. And I wrote each of the master and chief officers a good quality which people on board liked. It gave me exactly something like 30-35 people's, say about 60-65 things that they did. And I said in my first ship, I'll just follow this. That's it. Like one of the masters used to take night round before going to sleep. One master would always be on the bridge in the evening to see the evening sky, for the storm warning, something like that. One master would always be there, punctually at the position. One master would so meticulous in his paperwork and, in Sunday rounds and taking drills and training people on board. So, dhire, all those 60-65 qualities came in me. I just copied them.
I did not do anything. I improvised them on a second ship, third ship, fourth ship, because the practicality of the, that kind of crowd, that kind of ship has to be seen also. I became very popular. In 2 ships, I was very popular master ashore as well as among the ship staff, because one master was there who would always give good food. One master was very caring about everybody on board. He would make it a point that he sees everybody's face on board every day. He used to tell me also as chief officer, you must meet everybody on board every day. You must see their faces. That will give you what is happening with them. These problems of mental health and mental well-being which is coming on board today is because of a lot of interaction. One master was very, very good in arranging parties. He would not go let one Saturday waste without a party. I followed that for 6 years. If the vessel is not in port or not in the rough weather, I used to always have Saturday party on board. Never mind, it would just cost me 2 cases of beer or probably, some snacks and, but 3-4 hours get together is to really freshen up all the people. And that's the time I used to get to see all crew members, including non-watchkeepers, watchkeepers, everybody. And I used to get to interact with them. So I used to use the interactive, my wife was selling with me, she used to ask me, why are you having parties every Saturday? I mean, isn't this, something which people are very getting used to it? I said, this is my time to interact with them. I can't go to everybody's cabin and meet them and ask them questions which I can ask them informally into the parties. How's your wife is, how's your mother is, is everything okay at your home? So all these simple questions which will give the insight of their psyche, which used to come only from these parties. So second, third ship, I was really, so I basically, to answer your question, I can take a lot of names who people have taught me and still teaching me. But there are people, I always think that, they always have, everybody has got a lot of learning qualities. We must be good observant. I run a mentorship program for CMI. I'm a mentor to 4-5 cadets a year. I always tell them 2 things that you must go on board and do. These 2 things you must have. One is attitude, to learn each and everything on board. And second thing is you should be a good observer. And observation का sub point ये है कि you should write it down. What you observe, you write it down. Never mind. It may look stupid after 6 months or 2 months or 1 day also. But you observe, sir, that will increase your power. And observation only can teach you a lot of things. Just by observing people.
That was a really great things what you have said. There are quite a few learnings for the youngsters who will be watching this. Definitely. And one more thing, what I would appreciate and your movement regarding the sustainability, you are starting from the school. So whatever, if you want to nurture something, you have to touch the base and you have to start from there. And the school is the best place to, you strengthen your base, you nurture over there, and then you will have a great future. So that's a great thing. Captain Gajanan, for whoever watching the videos, maybe old people like me, youngsters like Sandesh, or maybe who are just precious coming into this thing, I would like to, you to brief how they can join this movement, maybe directly, indirectly, so that they can also contribute.
See, I've been doing this sustainability drive for some time now, and I'm looking at it to happen on various levels. The school is one level, where I work in my office space is one level. Whenever I go on ship for doing surveys and for the flag surveys and other independent audits, I always do that. This kind of. I run 3 organizations so far. I'm also President of AIMPA. There also we try to implement sustainability through the pilots which go on board and things like that. See, I think it's a matter of as I said, bringing the cultural change in yourself. Every time if you really sit down, a conscious mind, sits down with diary and pen and looks at as to what kind of sustainable measures or what kind of environmental impact I have out of my actions of whole day, brushing teeth in the morning, putting on the light, of toilet. You don't need that light at that time point probably, but you still want to have it because it looks bright.
Even the running tap.
Very, 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 very small things. So, many things like this in a whole day. If your conscious minds write down, you will think that you have your entire days running has impacted environment so much. I'm presenting a paper about, just 1 month after it on the circular economy. And my topic is water. So this has come from Cambridge they asked me, EDIPAC, we have a EDIPAC seminar here in Abu Dhabi in the month of August, I believe. They have asked for abstract. So I was just thinking, what should I do? What kind of a subject can I take? So water is one of the things, which has got a circularity, reduce, reuse, recycle, kind of all three, aspect to it. So I was reading yesterday night to some old papers, and on Google you have everything today, all information. I was really shocked to know there is so much to do in the area of water, which is so essential for life. And we are still not awakened. We are still not woken up. We are still dhund hai. Usi chakkar mein hai. We still drink bottled water. We don't want to increase our immunity. It all starts from that kind of a scenario. We would still prefer, no, I should be given a bottled water. Every time we go, we throw half the water out. So there are so many, there are 250 action points I was reading yesterday on all the papers in UN as to what the countries must do. There was a conference in 2004 in UN when these 250 points were submitted by all delegations. What should be done? And all different. So I'm sure there are about 1,000 now, because there have been a lot of abuse even after that, new abuse after that to the water. Whether it's growing sugarcane is abuse of water, whether, running, as exactly said, while shaving you run the tap, you don't need it. We never had a tap water running in my childhood. It was so sustainable. We used to always have that bucket filled next to it with a mug in that, and you take the water in the hand to fill up the hand, and then you do your brushing this morning or whatever it is. Even bathing was done with the kind of this thing, with all those mantras, shantras and all that. But today you have a shower, today we have luxuries, today we just open it, whether you are in the shower or not in the shower, your shower is running. A very nice film had come in between. The 10-15 Adivasi ladies with their, madka in their
bathtub, they put a water in.
They're filling up a bathtub.
Very touching.
I tell you that picture really brought, the tears in my eyes. I'm going to use that picture for my paper submission. This is what the urban life today has become. So there is a lot to do. A lot to do with this. Not only water, there also, one of the very. I worked with one of the organizations in 2018-19 in Chennai when I was in Sikal. I got an invite one day. Very interesting story this is. I got an invite one day to become some South India president of, beach cleanup initiative. I was in, what is this? And I never done this before. He said, no sir, we do the beach cleaning on 3rd Sunday of every September, every year September. I said, what's the point? It's not a one day activity. One day you're not going to achieve much. Then I spoke to those two ladies who are in US and running this initiative. And both the ladies, I asked them, I'm interested in helping you out, but since I'm in Chennai, but what is it all about? Why one day only? Why not every day? Don't you know that it requires absolute cultural change to do this kind of beach pollutions first and then cleanups? She told me a very fantastic story. She's been doing this for the last 30 years. Idea of when they started sitting in there in US, and they do about some 1,500 plus beach cleanings, through various social mediums. US embassy officers are involved in everywhere because she has. And what they do basically is they collect the garbage of that day's garbage, from the beaches by using school children, everybody, and segregate the entire garbage. How many cigarette butts, how many plastic, how many microplastic, how many plastic bags, how many nets, fishing net pieces, how many, sanitary pads, and she said when this is all segregated, then we know what is the most important pollutant. Now the degree of pollutancy in this thing depends upon the non-degradability of the material inside the material which is found on the beach. And they, being in US, like they said, sanitary pads earlier, say about 15 years back, had about 70 to 80% of non-degradable material. Now they lobbied with that industry from US, writing to those organizations or manufacturers and made it to 40%, half. Even cigarette butts, the entire cigarette butt about 50-20 years back used to be absolutely non-degradable material. It would remain there for 400 years. But now I think only 20% of cigarette butts are non-degradable. 80% material is degradable. So this is what the impact they have, because they can lobby, because they have the access to UN, they have access to, being in US, they have the access to the manufacturers. And I really took up the cause. I said, very nice. So I got involved everybody, including Municipal Commissioner of Chennai, since I knew him. And we did that beach cleaning operation for 2 years, and we got our data done, or photographed, put it in plastic bag. Even I told them, I'll send it to you also, but they said, no, sending it to US is not possible. So I found one lab in Delhi who will do the analysis of this. Even there was a lab in Nasik as well, but they were not so well equipped. But he says that I can give you the kind of a report which you are looking for, only on 2 sections. So he did that, analysis of that materials which we found on the beach. And I tell you, sanitary pads today, it has blown out of proportion. Without, as I said in that one of the conferences, the plastic was never bad. Plastic was never bad to the environment. Plastic is today also is good, because it is saving environment to a lot of extent. There is the disposal of plastic is not good. So if you are cautious about disposability of what you have in hand, and that requires a mindset change. If I stop using plastic at all, I'm telling you, I'm going to cut millions of trees. The use of plastic today to store sustainability, like digital I was telling you about. Digitalization came to support sustainability. We wanted a paper, less offices, we wanted everything to be computerized. But you see, in digital transition, amount of digital trash is being generated. When I bought this watch, 5 months back, now there's a third version of this watch has come. So there has to be a conscious discussion, deliberation on consumption and production. Why are you over-consuming? You don't need 5 shirts. The 4 shirts would do. But no, we have 30 shirts. We have 30 pants. This is ये consumption का mentality है ना, to have 5 Chashmika frames, 2 combs. This is what is going to give a false picture of economy because of increased consumption. But this increased consumption is at a very high cost of nature. We are just becoming consumer, and this consumerism is going to kill the nature, nothing else. So that is increasing the false production above needs. You see today I was talking to one of the supermarkets about 6-7 months back. I told you, how do you manage your supply chain? I just want to know. Want to make a case study out of this. Since I teach logistics management in the IIM Indore, I use this kind of random case studies, which I have done myself, discussion with people and all that. So I asked him, he said, sir, suppose if I sell something 10, the rule of thumb of supermarkets is to have at least 3 times that in the store a day. So if you can sell something, 10 items are sold every day, they must have 30 spare. I was talking about just in time, concept of Japanese and all that. I said, why don't you have? He said, no sir, people mentality is they want something yesterday. Our mentality is that we want something yesterday, not even future. So great deal of planning is needed to stop this consumerism. We don't want to do that planning. Who is this? It's we, it's our planet. If you think consciously about this, definitely I'm going to plan here, I'm going to buy something in October, let me order something in May, so I get something in October. I am not going to order on October 10th when I need it on October 9th.
I think so, along with consumerism, like responsible consumerism, it should also be responsible disposal. Like after you have consumed, you should be responsible enough to get rid of it in a responsible manner as well. So that is very important now.
I am on that coastal, Maharashtra government's coastal Niti Nirdaran, where we are looking at coastal security and things like that, where I had a chance of taking a 6 days coastal tour to find out various areas where it is a shadow and security requires to be boosted up and all that. This happened about 4 months back when I met the GCM Fadnavis Ji and all that. I'm telling you, the government, first thing they should do is they should erect huge efforts towards disposal. The disposal of everything which is not required, and then the disposal can be turned into recyclability.
Right.
Like Poonawala's efforts of cleaning the Pune city free of charge. He has got machinery worth 100 crores. He has spent 100 crores. His earnings are over 1,000 crores of the garbage. So when somebody can do it, that is the module we require to have in all cities, where you look at the first collection disposability properly. There's no point having 100 regulations for ship, and none of the ports have reception facilities of the sludge and oil and things like that. If you keep it on board, it's going to find its way into the ocean, nowhere else.
Either ocean or air.
Exactly. I am yet to see, our service norms should change. I am yet to see a hotel which would say, sir, please use your own napkins. Don't use this. I have attended sustainability conferences where you have plastic bottles on table. what more to it can ignorance can be than that. So this is how the thinking has to go on. That you will see, at least I don't know, but I still have a habit of not being sustainable at times. I write down my actions. I've done this myself for 10 days. Let me write down activities and kya hua uske aage, what I can change in them. And 2 pages got filled up. But that doesn't, it will not bring in the character change, because I'm used to something for last 10 years, 20 years. I looked at waste. Like, just using anti-wrinkle shirt does not make you a sustainable. अरे भाई इसलिए आयरन नहीं करता हूँ भाई, आई एम सस्टेनेबल यार, आई एम यूजिंग anti-wrinkle pant and anti-wrinkle shirt, that does not make you sustainable at all. It might have some contribution. So that's why the school thing I started. So it comes into the character. It comes from the childhood that कि मैं ये कर रहा हूँ ये गलत है. जैसे हमको बोला गया था बचपन से कि अगर if you don't say prayers in the morning, your day will not go well. And I still till today I follow that. I feel guilty if I don't do prayers in the morning. I don't do meditation for at least 10-15 minutes in the morning. I don't do japa in the morning for 10 minutes. I still feel guilty because it is in my mind somewhere. And if something goes wrong, I always feel like सुबह वो नहीं किया ना इसलिए लफड़ा हो गया. Let me do it here. So I want this sustainability to get into these brains of these young children, where they would then when they grow up they will think यार नहीं ये नहीं करने का है, इसमें ऐसा होता है. Don't want to put fear in them, but then they have to think that this action is impacting nature, this action is paying back nature. Only two repercussions of each human action is there. Either you are paying back nature or you are impacting nature, environment.
Because I remember, even as a kids, we were habitual of throwing things here and there. Now, after a little bit of civic senses, any package, wrappers and all, we put it in the pocket and go. But now these children, present children, we see, my daughter will never throw by mistake, she scolds her grandmother and all, hey, what you did? When she sees her grandparents are by mistake throwing something, hey, what you are doing? She will pick up and put it in her pocket. That sense has started coming in the young generation, and they only will bring the change, and we have to teach them. So going to school, teaching that sense in the school will really affect.
I think one thing I have to add to this, not just as school children, now I am seeing myself, even I have been grown up with that sustainability mindset, say from our school times only. So, but the important thing is to also maintain that mindset throughout your life, because at some point, even for me, when it comes to say corporate life or other things happen in life, and then suddenly, something which was at the forefront of your life then starts going back. Then you kind of feel like, oh, maybe, after a while you do an inventory of yourselves. You feel, oh, maybe I'm not as concerned about the environment as I was in my school years. So once that is ingrained, that should also be maintained somehow. So that is one thing I think we should also work on, as a generation.
See the awareness about your actions. You touch your parents' feet. Immediately reward is you Aishaman Bhava, Vidyavan Bhava. It's a very important thing. Immediately you get a blessing. That blessing, that payback is very important. For them to know कि मैंने plastic bottle स्कूल में लाया नहीं, इसका क्या repercussion हुआ? You can ban one-time plastic, you can fine a shopkeeper, you can fine a consumer. That's fine, but that's not going to be the ultimate solution. You hit the pocket, that's also okay. Because today the human beings have reached to that extent that they value money more than anything else.
When we have to give the alternative to whatever we want to stop, then we have to give alternative to the society. So then only that culture can be sustained.
I think, sir, now could be a good stopping point for this interview. But I am pretty sure, like, sir, if available, we will have one dedicated to the shipping industry next time. So we will talk exactly what ship owners, ship managers can do in order to help in this mindset change.
Thank you very much. I really thank Ecosail. And I forgot to ask you about your objectives of Ecosail and things like that. I mean, not that I'm not cautious about it, but I am cautious about it. But here the cautiousness was overtaken by confidence, and I'm confident that you guys are doing great job. Do propel some good initiatives for people to take forward as one of the pages in your magazine.
Thanks, Captain Gajanan, for joining, and we hope to connect with you every now and then. I don't say again and again. Every now and then I want to join with you and this.
Sure. Great time. I have a lot of time for these activities. I can spend my Sundays. I can spend a night on this. There's no issue. I mean, this is something where tomorrow, and if suppose in my children's lifetime, the tipping point is right. The question whether it will be asked in the real words to me or not, I don't know. But I will see that question in my son's eyes, the daughter's eyes, as to what did you do when Earth was collapsing? What did you do? You lived for 70 years. What did you do in 70 years? And that question need not to be asked. That question you will see in every child's eyes. Every children's eyes you will see that question being asked to you. That much sensitivity is required.
It was really great to have you as our first and very esteemed guest, and we hope to take forward your ideas, like which we have learnt in this interview. So that seeds one I'm definitely going to try. Anytime I'm in a car, I'm going to bring that with me. So that
I'll send you your address when I go back to Nasik. I'll send you a bag of balls and you can see how they are.
My address is going to come to you within 2 minutes.